I do it here for you, okay, get some movement, be able to put that club on the ball. I didn't feel like I actually swung as hard as I could, but I hit a nice straight one, really solid 180 yard 6-iron. Hey, I'll take that. All right, guys, so we're gonna talk about a reverse pivot. This is for all you reverse pivoters out there. This is a bad combo to have in the golf swing where your body is moving in reverse. That's not usually a good thing, and it leads to poor contact, poor distance, and poor control. That's a pretty bad thing to have happening, right? So we wanna make sure we are not doing this in our swing, okay? So let's first define what a reverse pivot is. So we're looking down here. I'm using the pressure plate. I will link this if you want to check one of these out. These are very, very helpful tools for a variety of ways in your swing. But when we talk about a reverse pivot, what's typically happening in the swing is, if we're set up here and I'm set up to hit a shot, I got a 6-iron here, so I might be just a touch like 60-40 on my front foot as far as weight distribution, but it's pretty 50-50. We'll just call it 50-50 for our sake, okay? When we go to hit this shot, okay, what ends up happening is people get afraid of swaying. They get afraid of moving around in the swing. And we've talked about that in the past, how that is not something you're trying to do. You need to have some shifting, and a lot of the best ball strikers are moving laterally in their swing. What ends up happening, though, is people get afraid of it, and so they start to go back, and they actually pivot their body where their weight gets way on their front foot, and typically this hip kicks out, this trail hip, and their body is basically in reverse. It's leaning backwards towards the target really, really excessively. You're going to see the spine actually curving back, and this is where you can get a lot of back issues in a golf swing, because you're going to be stressing out your lumbar spine. You're going to be stressing that out because it's bent and it's extended in a way that's just not going to be good, and it's not going to be allowed to rotate. So we definitely don't want to do this as well, because it can cause injuries. But what also happens then is when we get up here and then we start trying to put force in the golf club, that force kicks us back, okay? And so now we're moving in reverse. We're in the wrong direction here. So what ends up happening, my low point starts moving backwards, okay? So I'm going to make bad contact. That means I'm not going to be able to hit the center of the face. I'm probably going to be adding loft as I hit it. So distance is going to suffer. And what typically happens is I go over the top, so I no longer can control where the ball's going. It's going to be a slice, a pull, whatever it is, okay? So how do we fix this, okay? Well, what we have to do is, first off, we have to realize that we need to pressure in the swing. This pressure with our lower body is huge. So when I'm going back, I need to be pressuring back in my swing, right? Club goes back, I pressure. But what also is going to happen is, as I go to hit it, I need to be pressuring back towards the lead side, right? So go back, pressure, and that gets everything moving forward so that I can actually have my low point forward. I can have the club traveling in a way that's not going to be over the top, okay? I also can start squaring the face. Just a lot of really good things are going to happen, okay? So we have to understand the idea that we need to pressure properly, okay? Now, that's not everything that we need to do, because we could still do this a little bit incorrect if you just think about pressure, right? I can still do something weird like that, where this hip kicks out, okay, even though I'm pressuring properly. So what we also have to understand is we need to turn in our backswing, okay? So you'll always hear me talk about when you're going through and you're going to hit the ball, hey, we want to do some work with the club, the arms, things like that, right? But we have to set all of that stuff up by getting proper rotation in the backswing, okay? So what does that look like? Well, if I took this club, all right, and I put it right next to me here, pretty much right next to the board, okay? And there's going to be a gap here between the club and my right hip, so my trail hip, okay? When I pressure, that gap is actually getting wider, okay? That gap is actually getting wider. The same idea would happen with my upper body to an extent, right? I would be turning my upper body, right? So as I'm pressuring, that pressure actually gets my body to turn, and it's actually turning behind me. I'm turning away from this camera right here, okay? That is where we are going, okay? And as I do that, now my spine can actually be straight up and down, okay? I'm not leaning back, I'm shifting, but I'm not excessively shifting my lower body. I'm not excessively shifting my upper body. I'm essentially not losing any angles of how my body was set up. My joints are still gonna be stacked over each other. That's stuff that we like to see. That's gonna save you injuries, but it also means you have control, okay? So we like to see that big turn with that pressure shift, but we want to keep our angles of our body. We don't want to get into a position where we're leaning and reversing back to the target. When we do that, now, as I turn, first off, I'm going to get some depth to the club. The club's going to get more behind me, and when I shift and lower my arms, that club is going to be coming more from the inside, but I'm also moving my pressure and moving everything forward, so when I go to hit the ball, I'm going to be able to make ball first contact, okay? And so that's a really, really big key as we go to hit the ball. So if I do it here for you, okay, get some movement, be able to put that club on the ball. I didn't feel like I actually swung as hard as I could, but I hit a nice straight one, really solid 180-yard 6-iron. Hey, I'll take that. And that comes from moving correctly, making sure I'm not reversing anything as I go through the swing. So a really important idea as you're going through the swing, again, don't be afraid of motion in the golf swing. Just understand that the more you fight the motion, you're going to probably, your body's going to have to move, all right? It's going to have to move, so the more I fight it and fight it and fight it, the more bad things come in. So I'd rather just move properly and understand how to do it and train that. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to strike the golf ball, okay? So if you have questions about it, leave a comment down below. Been some really good discussions in the comments. That's what I love. That's the whole point of this channel, is I want to talk about the golf swing. There are many ways to do it. I'm just showing you some of the ways I find to be the best for most people, but always love to hear ideas and talk about them. So leave those comments down below. Click that subscribe button if you're not a subscriber already. And again, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.